All right, guys, we got a lot to unpack about Star Wars Outlaws. They just got the game released on Steam yesterday. And after an abysmal failure of a console launch where they struggled to sell 1 million units of this game, it's finally on Steam. And on its launch date, it had an abysmal 834 peak concurrent players. Now, today seems a little bit better. I'll give them this. They got 1,645 people. But this is a Star Wars game, okay? This is a Star Wars game. This is Disney. This is one of the biggest franchises in the fucking world. And it's a Steam release weekend. And they're not even barely cracking over 1,000 players in the game. This is not good. This is not bueno at all, guys. This is actually hilarious. It shows that people are over Star Wars. It's a dying franchise, and I'm saying this as a fan of the franchise. I'm a Star Wars fanatic. I got Star Wars crap all over this room, but you gotta admit, nobody gives a fuck about it anymore. It used to be where if a Star Wars game came out, it sold no matter what. It would do great. And this has just been a bomb. And why did they stagger the release from console to Steam? Like, literally, by this point in time, people are gearing up for the holidays. They're gearing up for better games that have come out recently, and for games that are coming out in the near future. Nobody wants to play something that was ripped apart and roasted and buried for months. And I mean, that's why it's struggling right now. So this article came out yesterday. So yeah, now there's 1,600 concurrent players. But this is talking about yesterday, where in its first day on Steam, it only hit a peak of 834. And on top of that, Ubisoft discounted the game ahead of the launch release on Steam. I don't know if you guys saw this article. They discounted it by $20 ahead of a release to Steam. So this is the result of that. Like, even discounting the game, they can't get people to come out and buy it. So the base edition's like $52. Gold is $100 and went down from $109 to $82. And Ultimate Edition is $97 instead of $130. Why the fuck do you want to buy any of these extra editions when the extras of this game aren't even worth it? The cosmetics, the battle pass isn't even worth it. The expansions, the updates were terrible. There was nothing of any value to even spend close to $100 on Star Wars Outlaws. And this is as somebody who played the game on stream. This is as somebody that's played the game in full. Matter of fact, I platinumed the game. I got 100% on Xbox. It's garbage. It was just a so-so game with Star Wars attached to it. If you had taken the Star Wars name off of it, it would have been any other open world Ubisoft game. So continuing on, it says, to show how terrible this game performed on its first day, one need only look at Sony's most recent release, Concord, which was shut down less than 2 weeks after release. And again, that had an all-time peak of 697. So the opening day peak of Star Wars was barely 200 players more than what Concord had. Let that sink the fuck in, guys, to how terrible this game is doing. I think people have given up on Ubisoft at this point. I know I'm starting to fade that way. I just want to see what a shit show Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to be when I play that, and then I'm out. I'm absolutely the fuck out. So it says it also performed worse than Respawn's Jedi Survivor, which was released on Steam at the end of April 2023. And you can look, they had a 24-hour peak yesterday of 1,481. So a game that came out over a year ago from EA, which is not even that great of a company either at this point with their whole Dragon Age bullshit, still outdid a game that launched on Steam yesterday, Star Wars Outlaws, that probably had a bigger budget too because it's an open world game. They failed to beat Jedi Survivor. What does that tell you? That nobody gives a fuck about K-Vest, the female Han Solo that's just absolute cringe and looks ugly and was uglified on purpose just to fucking do it. And on all the fucking lack of inspirational story writing that this game had. It had the most generic fucking plot and story ever. Like, I could give two fucks about the game. Now, you can also see, for another comparison, you can look at Star Wars The Old Republic, which yesterday had a peak of 4,868. So, Star Wars Outlaws' peak concurrent player counts were worse by 82.8%. on launch date. Nobody gives a shit about Star Wars Outlaws anymore. Nobody. Ubisoft's going to lose so much money from this game. It's ridiculous. And this is the year of the financial flop. This is the year of games that go woke. They fucking flounder so hard to the point where it's like, wow, when are they going to fucking learn? A game that came out years ago. How long ago was Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic? Like over a decade at least? A Steam release has more people playing it than Outlaws, that is a brand new fucking game getting launched on Steam. So this article says it's abundantly clear that this game will not be a long-term seller despite Ubisoft's hopes. And yeah, this was after the CEO was saying that they hope that, you know, they could change things around, that it underwhelmed. It was off to a slow start. Here's the thing, Outlaws, obviously off to a slower start. Can you provide a little color into the sales curve there more recently? Have you guys started seeing things pick up? Can you talk about any discounting you might be doing or strategies for discounting till the holiday period? And the CEO, Gilmot, said, on Outlaws, we can say that it's the 3 title updates that we've delivered at the same time we've been observing. Substantial positive community sentiment improvement. The biggest update still to come by November 21st, and it will come on the same day as the first big story pack and the launch for Steam. So we're putting ourselves in a position to have a must-play game that should address a mainstream audience for the busy season, also be a long-term seller. Yeah, that's wishful thinking, guys. A must-play game. Everybody that's going to play the game has already played it on console, apparently, at least according to the Steam database. I played it. I have no interest in even going back and playing this new update. I can't be bothered. I cannot be fucking bothered to go and play this update at all. To me, it was just an average game. It was so-so. There was nothing innovative about it. Nothing to where I was like, oh my God, this is so fantastic. The replay value was not there at all. They had some Easter eggs and cameos by, you know, legacy Star Wars characters, but it wasn't even for fan service at this point. It was just, I felt like they were undermining every the characters, you know, and this game had so much potential, but literally nobody could give a shit about anything Star Wars. I just barely found out that Skeleton Crew is coming out like December 3rd. That's how little I give a fuck about Star Wars at this point. Now, they continued to say it has great quality, and the team wanted to make sure that we will remove a few frictions and then implement some gameplay mechanics that will certainly delight the players. Ahead of the game's release, investors were expecting the game to sell at least 5 million units. Oh, God, but that fucking failed because, remember, we covered it. Insider Gaming had the rumor that the game only sold 1 million units in its first month, saying that they secured a current sales figure from sources close to the game at the time of writing. Star Wars Outlaws had just ticked over 1 million sales worldwide. Further rubbing salt into this wound is Assassin's Creed executive producer Mark Alexis Cote recently revealing that AAA games need to sell somewhere between 8 to 12 million units to break even. So, yeah, this was part of the thing where he said Assassin's Creed Shadows has to sell 10 million to break even. I'm willing to bet they spent more money making Star Wars Outlaws than they did Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is weird that all these games have such high cost, such high budgets, to where it's like almost competing with Hollywood, right? 1 million copies sold of Star Wars Outlaws, and then whatever abysmal thing is going on with Steam is not going to cut the mustard. You know, this guy right here, Cote, who's the Assassin's Creed guy, said, reason why I'm quoting the 10 million copies kind of mark is from what I've seen and how I've seen cost of competitors and everybody. Everything leaks in our industry, so you have privileged info on where the competition's going. But I mostly I estimate that 10 million copies give or take 2 million is mostly what you need to break even, but you have only 10 games that breach that every year. So they're not breaking even at all. It's a massive disaster. And Lucasfilm is probably pretty fucking upset as well about this whole situation. I'm starting to lean towards it's this Ubisoft reputation. They're tarnished, especially when you start to see all of the ways that some of their employees work, the community managers, the Reddit the people developing things like Shadows, they're all more interested in being activists and pushing fucking woke narratives and putting women just to put women. Like literally, like one of the writers of this game said they made the character female because even though Han Solo was their favorite character, they could never relate to him because they were a woman. Like, oh my God, ooh, my pussy. Like, I don't understand these people. Just make games that the fan base wants. Just make games that will make you money. Like, are you guys allergic to money? I don't understand. Anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. Subscribe if you're brand new. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. As always, take care.